Well, I think I can most effectively speak to how charter schools have changed with the Sequoia Union High School District. I'm not sure I can answer it with regard to Ravenswood and the other organizations that you asked about. I think, first of all, the Sequoia Union High School District is comprised of about 8,000 students. We have 4 comprehensive high schools, schools of about 2,000 students each, and then we have a continuation school. And then we are the sponsors of 2 charter schools. This one here, the Phoenix Academy, as well as Summit Charter High School that's located in Redwood City. We also have our students, and we support 2 charter schools that we are not the sponsors of. We're not the legal authorizers of. One, we call it the Stanford Charter School, but I think its official name is East Palo Alto Charter Academy, and they're located over in East Menlo Park. And the 4th one is a charter school called Everest, which is a sister school to Summit, and the state authorized them. I think that, and perhaps Dr. Martinez could give more of a historic insight into this, because she's been associated with the district much longer. But I think the most positive result of having charter schools in our district is it's caused our organization, our teachers, our administrators, our parents, our school board, to ask this question: what could we do more effectively such that students didn't see the need to go to a different school where we are required by law to send the dollars? Yes, every time a charter school is formed, well, I won't say every time. In the case of the East Palo Alto, the Phoenix Academy, the local school district, the local property tax is sent here to pay for each of the students. So that's what Mr. Wilcox was talking about, the dollars, the tax dollars follow the students, as with Summit. And in a sense, that puts us in the Sequoia Union High School District on a financial basis in competition with, in this case, Aspire Charter Schools, and in the case of Summit, Summit Charter High School. And so that competition causes us to stop and think and realize that, you know what, we're not the only game in town. And we've got to think about other ways of meeting the needs of the students that live in our attendance area. So I think that's the positive way in which we're affected. The negative way is that, and I think we need to really focus on this tonight when we're talking about school reform in California, because if we don't mention this, I think we're very remiss. We are now, California, the lowest funded state in all of the United States per pupil. We do a terrible job of funding our public schools, and that includes charter schools. And the way the charter school law is set up is that it didn't come with additional funding. It said to the legislature, when they passed the charter school law in '92, essentially what they said was, yeah, you can have charter schools, but the state is not going to spend one more dime per kid. So you lose what's called the economy of scale. And the amount of money that you receive is spread out amongst more schools, and therefore you do lose a certain amount of ability to offer more programs or to fund your schools more effectively. So the negative financial piece is a problem, and it is a consideration. And has the Sequoia Union High School District had to cut programs for the students that remain in the Sequoia High School District in order to fund the charter schools that are in our district? The answer is yes. But that's the nature of the beast, and that's what we're dealing with. But frankly, it wouldn't be such a difficult pill to swallow if we were in a state, let's say like New York, where they fund their students at approximately $14,000 per student per year, where here in California, it's closer to $6,000 per year.
I couldn't agree more with a lot of what Dr. Gemma said. The fact that we're so poorly funding California makes the financial bite that happens when a charter school opens to the rest of the traditional public school system a bigger bite than in anywhere else in the country. I've had this conversation hundreds of times with my own father, who was an assistant superintendent, and often asked me, so what am I supposed to do when you open your school next door to my schools? And this was in Alabama. They don't have a charter school. They're one of 3 states that don't. So you didn't have to worry about it. We had this conversation. We've had it lots of times. So what am I supposed to do as a district superintendent when you open your school next door and you take 300 kids? It'd be great if you took all 300 kids from one school, so I could reorganize that school. But I still got to keep the lights on. I still got to pay teachers. I still got to pay the rent in the building, or all these expenses that don't go away in equal chunks as the students go away. And my answer has always been the same. It's a tough problem, Dad. But who should control the money? You or the families? At the end of the day, for me, what really is the question is who gets to vote? And who gets to vote with their feet, and what happens when they vote with their feet and say, I would rather go to this school that happens to be a charter school, hopefully because it meets my needs better, than go to this school over here. Couldn't agree more with Pat, and in California it makes it particularly brutal for districts, but at the end of the day I go back with that. Who should be in control of the money? And I think it should be families and students who make the choice, and the money should follow them. So you asked how charter schools are improving or what they're doing to try to contribute to this problem. For me, it really goes back to 2 things. The first one is we learn a lot from our host districts around things that they do, and sometimes we learn a few things and we try to share it with them. And I think that having more options and having more opportunities to do things maybe a little bit differently gives everybody a chance to learn from each other. So I think that's one positive thing that happens. But the most important one of the 2 for me is that it changes people's expectations around what's possible. So when you have a school like we have here in East Palo Alto, and you have a class of 10th graders, where all of them pass the exit exam, suddenly people have a different expectation of what's possible. Suddenly people who say, kids like you can't do it, have to look at those words and think again, because you're proving them wrong. So charter schools do that in places like this where we have great schools, and I'm proud to say we've got a lot of them. But that's what you're doing, and you're changing expectations for people across the state, and you should be really proud of yourself for doing that.
We would also like to hear from Ms. Barb Mitchell and Dr. Martinez on Antonio's question.